And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive Tuesday, December 2nd. Fun one here. Just 5 games. We've got this Island OKC Warriors game tonight. If you want to get weird for some extra late night showdown, lots to break down. We're locked by 8. It's going to be fun. I'm Josh Engelman. You should follow me on Twitter. That is Chris Spags. You should also follow him on Twitter. We're going to break all this stuff down. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow us both, like I just said, on Twitter. That's the best place you could follow us. Follow us on Tails, too. That helps. Every other medium, I'm going to be useless. What's up?
I'm glad to be back here with you. You seem refreshed, invigorated, ready for another week in the NBA. And I feel like this is my first time alongside your very fancy AI-developed interface here. So this feels special to me. No, that was
well,
wrong.
Now it's gone.
You're just flexing real fast. Like, oh, okay. I don't know if you had a new.
It's the same. It's the same information. Like this is the boom bust tool. The other one's the boom bust tool. I just happen to be looking at it in my stuff before. But yeah, same data.
No, I don't feel special at all. I thought I was going to taste what I see every morning on the strategy show. But no, I'm glad to be here with you. I feel like this is a fun slate. I think you have some interesting value already. A guy we just saw hit yesterday in Marvin Bagley. I think people are going to be doing maybe a mistake with the 2 Washington bigs where you play them both. And, it hit yesterday in a tournament. People are going to feel really cozy doing that. Though Frank Sim is saying it's okay as well. But maybe people overplay that a little bit. There's ways to get unique still. And we have a lot of Q tags floating around that could open up some value or at least cement some plays. So I think it's a fun slate, even though I worry Josh is one of those where the deeper dive will immediately not be evergreen because something's going to change radically the moment the show ends.
Part of me hopes that happens because I don't really like a ton of what's at the top, but we're going to get into that right now. You ready?
Let's do it.
Wizards, Sixers. Sixers are aggressively huge favorites. 2 touchdowns, in fact, in this Eagles Commanders game. 235 total. All the totals for today are like the same total. So from that regard, it doesn't matter too much. We just have a Pelicans team and a Wizards team that we expect to lose. I also expected the Wizards to lose to the Bucks, and that didn't happen. We got to start at the top. You started with it already. It's the only talking point that we can start with. Marvin Bagley is 3,600. Tristan Vukcevic is 3,200. There is no Chris Middleton today. There is no Alex Sarr. This is the same experience we had yesterday, and now we're doing it again today on a smaller slate. 70-something% ownership to Bagley, 40-something% ownership to Tristan Vukcevic. Both of those guys are right around those numbers from an optimal rate perspective. What are you doing?
So the semi run before the show, and I do overlay my projections on top of it, so it does make me a little bit different than just what you're getting, custom from Stokastic. I got so much Bagley. I got 94% Bagley. My projection is actually 0.2 less than Stokastic, so it does seem like he is very much a good play. But I also got a little bit under the field on Vukcevic, got 19% there, and that was without me juking things, which frankly I would like to do, because I just don't think it's generally good DFS practice to play the starting center and the backup center when if one gets in foul trouble, the other one benefits directly. If one has an outlier day, the other one benefits, or the other one, detracts, and that guy benefits, obviously. I just feel like it's easier to play max one of those and get unique right away. So I like the sim is doing that for me, but it did seem, when I ran the sim before the show, I was getting a lot of top ROI lineups with both guys. So that's open. We did just see that win yesterday. But I think it just gets overplayed because there isn't good value on the slate. And I don't know. I'm sure you'll feel like, the projections, the value's there, and I get it. But I feel like max 1 to me feels like a better move.
I have Bagley in everything, which I'm not surprised to see. And I'm right at the field for Tristan Vukcevic. Do I love it? No. Is it 2 centers at a combined 6,800 today? Yeah. And I don't think I'm losing out on too much by having them. It's not like Jokic is here. It's not like Wemby is here. Like our centers for today are whatever the hell comes out of Philly, maybe Donovan Clingan, or we just get more value. Jakob Poeltl. Now Cat is on a different tier, but that's sort of a different conversation too. Neemias Queta, meh. Gobert, meh. Yves Missi, meh. Zach Edey, already very expensive. Luke Cornett, and now we're done. Like, those are the centers for today. I don't know what I'm missing if I take these two guys. I don't feel like I'm losing out on, like, if there was a Jokic here where it's like, oh, there's a guy that could just drop 90 in this position, like in this spot, and you can't make up for that elsewhere. I'd feel a little different. I don't think there's anybody at center that matters today.
Yeah, I guess I just, having been through the wars of DFS enough times, NBA, NFL, all the stuff, just knowing how it goes when people get a little too cozy with a thing that is generally, I think, not great. I'll say lineup hygiene. That might be a phrase I'm coining. But where you're playing both centers and there is a push-pull dynamic there. Like, what if Zach Edey hits a ceiling? What if Queen hits a ceiling? What if Gobert, who I think is, around a 5x value? What if those guys hit the ceiling, against a shitty Pelicans team that can miss a lot of shots today? That's a possibility. Even, like you mentioned, Klingon, if he doesn't play, you get Robert Williams starting, or, whatever, Duop Reith, Hanson Yang, one of those guys, maybe their value. I just think people are going to be a little too easy clicking Bagley and Vucevic, and you're better off just shaving some amount of those guys off and just seeing if something else does break the slate at center.
Yeah, my only problem is that I just don't know how to get to that particular guy. Like, I don't disagree with everything you're saying. I just think the list is so big of like, dude, it could be otherwise. And I don't really know where I want to go. Like, if I had more of Naz Reid, Town, well, I mean, I want to have more of Towns, but that's more of a power forward thing. Pirtle, Gobert, like, I'm happy to be over on a bunch of those guys and take those shots. I don't necessarily feel like I have one guy that just is that dude, though. And that's the part that's just making me a little nervous. Ultimately, I'm sure that Anthony Gill will just play like 20 minutes and both of these guys will suck, and that'll be the best part of today. But for right now, this is as bleak of a center crop as you could have on a 5-gamer.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of outliers here. And even the ones that are, outliers like Towns, I think he's more than fairly priced relative to the matchup, and he was available for the Knicks. So I'm with you on that. There isn't an easy click if you don't go Bagley and Vucevic, but, I still think it'll carry you further if you go max one of those guys.
There we go. Well, let's talk about the rest of this game then, because while Bagley and Vucevic are getting quite a bit of ownership, there is a guy getting more than Tristan Vucevic, and he comes from the Philadelphia 76ers. It is $9,900 Tyrese Maxey, 60% owned, 60% optimal. I find this one fascinating because obviously the spot makes sense. Washington, extra shitty. Maxey, confirmed good. No Joel Embiid for whatever that matters, which is at this point very little. But 60% ownership feels like a really big number for a guy that is 10K today. What are you doing with Maxey?
I'm getting less than the field of Maxey right now, getting just shy of 40%. Yeah. Fields at 65. I think he looks like a good play. He's only going to look better if you get Grimes and Paul George out. Drummond, I guess you could as well. But the wings in particular, just giving away more usage to flow towards Maxey. I think it would be hard to debate him as a play at that point. For right now, with those guys in, there's enough production that could not flow his way. Like, I get point guards keep killing Washington. I do think people generally have the DVP in their brain, but ultimately it's a bad defense that plays at an up-paced tempo relative to what the Sixers are usually playing. So like all the stuff does check off here. Well, you want to go Maxey's way. I think for me, it's just a lot of ownership for a guy where there's a lot of people around that price range. We talked about Cat being a center option. He's a similar price point. Jaylen Brown, like there's just a bunch of guys you can name who are 9K to 10K. And all of them, I think, are going to be much less owned because people are going to feel really comfortable as clicking Maxey and moving on. I think I'll be with that if we get Paul George and or Grimes out, maybe one or both. Both certainly, I would get more Maxey. As it is right now, I think you should get a little bit less and still kind of get the desired impact.
Yeah, I only have 20% right now. That is obviously subject to change if any of those Q tags end up out. As you mentioned, Paul George, Quentin Grimes, Andre Drummond. And it's not that I don't like him. Like, every bit of this looks great. The matchup's fine. He's going to play a ton, pretty much no matter what happens in this game. He's been incredible so far this season. I don't have a single negative thing to say about Tyrese Maxey as Tyrese Maxey. But from a DFS perspective, I think I could take a decent chunk of that ownership and reappropriate it to other pay up options. I think it's really interesting to me because of how much I have of Bagley and Vucevic that I'm also light on Maxey because I'm taking the value at a position that isn't his and still not getting him. So it is putting me in different places. We'll get to some of those guys. What do you want to do with the rest of this game, though? Because those three guys are sort of on an island. I guess Justin Champagne is grabbing some real estate on that island as well. 35% owned right now. $3,500 power forward. No Chris Middleton, but McCain's 30. Cam Whitmore's 25. Koulibaly is 15. Even Paul George is north of 10% owned. And then we get into a bunch of other guys that I think are certainly reasonable on a 5-gamer. Anything else standing out in this game? Either team?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a good amount of ownership coming right now, and it would get certainly even more so if you get Keyshawn George out. Chat's mentioning he's a Q tag. He is a Q tag again. It's an actual injury now. It's like a toe injury, right? It's not the same illness thing that he was questionable for like a week.
Let's see. Just saying questionable for me. I don't know why it didn't process. Let me look. That sounds right to me, though.
Contusion left big toe is what he got now, so it's not. Yeah, like I know we had talked about it, and you DK had talked about as well on stream. Had mentioned like basically that he's ill, he's not that ill at this point. He'll be okay. It's now a different thing. So I think for him that's definitely a cause for concern on a back-to-back. But if Keyshawn George plays, I'm willing to go there a little bit, getting more than the field of him. But as it is right now, getting a ton of Cam Whitmore, 33% of him, getting 40% and change of Champagne as another value option. I'm getting a lot of Washington, and it's going to get a lot worse for me, I think, if Keyshawn George is out. McCollum would look a little more playable as well. Koulibaly definitely would look more playable. I think the Wizards would be a very chalky spot if you don't get Keyshawn George in. As it is now, at least with the ownership on these guys. And, I don't think they look like bad plays.
Yeah, I've already got some CJ up and over the field. On the Philly side, I've got a bit of McCain right around the field. You didn't mention the guy from the Wizards that I actually have, though, which is concerning because there's only so many bodies on the damn team. I've got a bit of Bub Carrington right now.
Stokastic giving him 24 minutes and an 18-point projection. I'm not there. I'm even lower.
I get it.
I'm at 17 and a half.
Yeah. I'm not advocating for him, but I happen to have him.
I also I said this before on my stream a couple days ago. Like, I feel like Bub Carrington is one of my least favorite players to watch in the NBA too, because he's like young, but he doesn't do anything fun. He looks angry all the time, and he looks like he never wants to leave the court, even though he doesn't do anything useful while he's on it. So I'm very anti-Bub, but like, yeah, I have him really lowly projected. He, of course, means he'll be the one Wizard, I'm sure, that does something today. Him and Anthony Gill are going to team up to take all the production. But yeah, I'm getting everybody besides him, basically. And I'll definitely get a lot more if Keyshawn George is out. I
think he's going to play a little bit more. And if we get that news, he's absolutely going to play a little bit more because they're just slowly but surely running out of people. But he's a guy I kind of got my eye on at a price tag that no one is going to look at. Deep GPP cut for me here. Whitmore scares the hell out of me, but like it just seems like the minutes are there for us. I have one more hypothetical here because I think it's obvious that like if Grimes and or Paul George are out, we kind of like know what that does. What if Andre Drummond sits today? Like we've got, I don't know, 4 or 5 different versions of random idiots that can play center for Philly. Do you like one more than the other? Is it Bona? Is it Jabari Walker? Is it Dom Barlow? Am I missing one? Broom, I guess. It's somebody, right?
I think Barlow would get more minutes because he's already kind of taken some of the Oubre minutes and they can play him at backup center. And I think that would make sense to me. But like Bona, I don't know how many minutes he could play because he was banged up there for a while. But I would assume he gets the majority of minutes and probably gets a start. But yeah, I mean, certainly if you get Drummond out, Bona still probably wouldn't be. He might be borderline playable, but he's not playing that well this year. Only 0.75 fantasy points per minute. Really don't feel like I ever get Bona too much. He's like the shitty version of Neemias Queta, I feel like, where they kind of seem to me feel like similar players, but Bona just doesn't produce, and Queta this year is producing pretty well. But I think Queta would look good. Barlow definitely would come up for me, though. Sim-wise, Stokastic was liking him before, even before any of these guys have gotten ruled out or anything.
It'll be interesting to compare Adam Bona and Vukcevic. If Drummond is out and let's say Bona starts, and I don't even necessarily know if that's going to be the case, but if that happens, it'll be very interesting to see the dynamic and ownership between a backup for the Wizards and the starter for the Sixers at essentially the same salary.
Better.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be like a real interesting push and pull, because obviously at that point I'm guessing you would like one of the Wizard centers plus Bona combo more than you would ever want the double Wizard.
Yeah, I think so. I think that also fits how I would want to play it. One guy I'm curious your thoughts on, because I know you historically don't like him too much. I am baffled. I mean, my projection's low in him, and I'm certainly taking McCain at his rates this year at face value. Like 32% McCain feels like a lot if you're going to get Grimes and Paul George in. If those guys are out, sure, I get it. I'm not team McCain here. I don't know, I kind of feel like he missed his window, like getting hurt last year. I feel like that was his shot. And I'm not impressed by what he's done so far this year. And I don't want to play him if a third of the field's going to be there.
I'm right with the field. That's not me like loving Jared McCain. I think it's more just opportunity based and matchup based than anything else. Like, he's just going to get lost out there. And if the ball can get to him, I have no doubt that he can shoot. I think he's just going to be able to get some like really good looks. And yes, I agree. 35% feels uncomfortable. I'm hoping we can free up a little bit more guard value to make that look a little bit less interesting. I share your nerves. I'm with you. I would not I don't want to have 30% of Jared McCain when I get to lock.
Yeah, unless Grimes and George are out, then I think I get that.
That's a completely different story.
Yeah, if they're in, I'd rather play Paul George. I mean, it's obviously a different price point entirely, but I'd rather take the shot that he hits in limited minutes. He's putting up over 1.25 fantasy points minute this year. Obviously, knowing he's on limited minutes, seems like he's kind of gunning when he's out there. But yeah, I'm just not sold on McCain, and I played McCain a lot last year because there was a ton of usage to go around. Now it just seems like he's not getting any assists at all. He's not rebounding. He also just looks like visually it looks like frail, and like he's like so small compared to Edgecombe out there. You see why they've fallen in love with one and maybe fallen a little bit out of love with the other. But yeah, McCain at a third of the field is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's almost like those 14 games he played last year were just, kind of random. And he was actually the guy that everybody thought he was going to be. 26, 25, 29, and 29 for his minutes over the last four. That is one with Edgecombe back in the last one. We'll see what he's actually playing. But yeah, if we lose one of Grimes or George, then I think anything you want to do with McCain makes a ton of sense.
McCain also desperately due for positive regression on shooting. He's at 46% true shooting to start the year. And part of why he played so well is that he shot, I think, unsustainably well, if I'm remembering correctly, last year. So, he'll get at least the league average, I would think, at some point.
Yeah, if he's getting open looks from three, like, we're going to expect those bad boys to go down at, 40 something. But he's not moving as well post knee injury, which sucks. It was fun to see. Anything else? Sixers whiz?
No. I think I'd like to see Grimes and George out, because at least I'd feel better about the Maxey ownership, and McCain to a lesser extent, but definitely just feels like you need to know the status of these guys. If they're in, the plays look good, and if they're out, I think it's really, you're going to get a lot of pieces from Philadelphia.
On the FanDuel side, Maxey's 50% owned, looks pretty similar. Bagley's 4,300. He's 37% owned. Obviously, that's never going to be 1-to-1. You only get one center spot. But Champagne, Paul George, McCain, all in the 20s. McCollum just knocking on the door of 20. This is all pretty similar. It's just that Tristan Vukcevic is 5% owned on FanDuel. But again, that shouldn't be all that surprising. Interesting GPP play if you want to get away from Bagley. Portland and Toronto. Here we go. This is a weird game for me. I'm anxious to see where you're landing here. Toronto, 5.5-point favorites. Big piece of news that we need right now is Donovan Clingan and whether or not he plays. Because if he does not play, Time Lord is 4,100. I don't think he matters, but we could have that conversation. Potentially flat 3K Dwap Reith, or flat 3K, don't know the proper order. So either Hansen Yang or Yang Hansen, whichever one you want to use works for me. They're both flat 3K. And then you still have the opportunity to go small with like your Jeremy Grant types at the 5 if you want to. If Clingan is in, what are you liking here for Portland? 15% ownership to Denny and Kamara right now. Basically nothing else happening here.
Yeah, I'm above the field on Denny right now. I mean, the fact that he had the game he did against OKC, and for whatever reason, the Trailblazers seem to be the Thunder's kryptonite relative to this run they're on right now. I was shocked to see him put up like that many points, that many peripherals against the Thunder team that like shuts down everybody. Like every star has been really getting eaten alive by them. For him to play well there, I thought was really impressive. Not that carries over for today, but going against Toronto, it gives me a little more confidence to go that way. And Denny's been averaging 1.3 fantasy points a minute on the year, and that includes some of the court time being shared with Drew Holiday. With Drew off the court, he gains in usage, gains in assist upside, gets close to like 32% usage, 34% assist rate this year. With Drew Holiday off, that's a good sign for him. Shaedon Sharpe coming off the bench, probably good for him as well, getting that high usage kind of ball hog play away from him. I think he looks good. I think it's a really fun tournament play and a way to not play Maxey. I think he should be one of those guys you look at. And Jeremy Grant also looks good to me as well, 19% there. But besides that, not getting anything. The top two who gain usage a lot from having Drew off the court, that helps. Shaedon Sharpe, I think, unplayable at this point off the bench, even though he certainly could light it up. But I like Avdi and Grant a good amount.
Yeah, I've got 35% of Denny right now, currently projected for about 15. I mentioned that I don't have as much Maxey, same salary tier, different guy. I would rather take a 2x stand on Denny than be with the 60% owned Maxey. That seems to be working out perfectly for me. I don't really have anything else for the Blazers. I think the only other talking point right now is how many minutes do you think Time Lord can play today?
Yeah, I was trying to look up what his minutes high is. I mean, he's been getting to 21 lately, 21. So yeah, like I feel like this happens every time. Like last year, I remember it happening a bunch where Ayton would be out and like, oh, Robert Williams is going to start. And then he plays 20 minutes and doesn't do a whole lot. And he just like runs bad in it. I think just based on the projection, if he were to get the start and Stokastic gave him like 24 minutes, I'd probably get him in lineups a good amount. I have no faith in him really starting. I'd rather see, Hanson Yang or Duop Reese start. And then, they're going to get 25 minutes and then, Time Lord to fill in the rest. But it's definitely one to watch because Klingon vacates some opportunity for sure.
Yeah, realistically, I think, like 22 is probably what you feel good about for Time Lord. And if he gets to like 24 or 25, you're stoked. Anything more than that is just, I don't really know how you could expect it. And he'll look good. But if we get one of Reith or Yang Han Sen, that's going to be a problem. Because I think that both guys are equally as likely to just get ripped off the floor and not return in the second half too, which is the scariest part of all of it. I won't like that value if it shows up because I don't trust it in any way. I think the Blazers are terrifying. It will make me like Jeremy Grant more, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
that's all.
It seems like this kind of spot they could go small if they wanted to and just get another, not play a big too. So definitely some volatility if Klingon doesn't go, but I'd probably take some shot and be with the field on whatever value theoretically opens up.
Okay. So let's go to the Toronto side. Have fun with this. Ready? 25% ownership Brandon Ingram, 25% ownership Emmanuel Quickly, 25% ownership Scotty Barnes, more or less. They're all the same boom. They're all the same optimal. Do you like one more than the others?
I'm getting Quickly the most, I think, because he's the cheapest. I mean, they all gain usage.
Same.
Does seem like Ingram gains the most from Barrett being off the court. Ingram gets about 32% usage. He's normally at 27.5. I think you can always make the case like you can play whatever Raptors you want, but with the field being pretty flat on Barnes, Ingram, and Quickly go to the cheapest one, go to the one that has the most assist upside. He does gain about 6% in assist rate from having Barrett off the court. Just one less self shot creating ball hog on the court probably helps out a little bit. But yeah, I'm willing to make my bet with Quickly. I think he fits positionally as well with point guard. But any of them seem fine. I mean, Pirtle's the one I think I really don't have a lot of interest in, I guess.
Yeah, my only interest in Jakob Poeltl is sort of like, one, if Klingon is out, I think Poeltl looks a lot more interesting just against whatever else is going to be out there. And two, just because he's not one of the Washington centers, like I'm interested in him by default, but not because of Jakob Poeltl in any way. Right, I'm with you. I've got a bit more of Quickly. I like the game for Ingram just because if Klingon's in, I don't think they're going to find a lot of success getting to the rim. And at that point, if this is a Brandon Ingram working in the mid-range game, like, do I like that? No. But he might take 25 18-footers today. Every once in a while, he's just going to bury all of it. because he's a bucket like that. And I think those are going to be the shots that they try to give them. And I think Brandon Ingram is very willing to take them. I don't have as much Scotty Barnes. I'm just right with the field. I don't have much to say on him. And then for the rest of these guys, whether it's Jacoby Walter or like Jamal Shed, I'm mostly good.
Yeah, I looked at Ingram's shot rates just while you were talking because it does make sense. He takes 19% long range shots that are between the mid range and three, just like the least efficient shots in basketball. Which he's great. Like I still think he's got more Kevin Durant in him than people give him credit for. But man, just like he takes the worst shot selection just from what we know of advanced analytics at this point.
Yeah, it's not good. But in this case, I find it to be a benefit because I think that's where he's going to get those shots today.
You'll be away from the Monstar in the middle.
Yeah. Now, if Klingon's not in, I don't think they're going to struggle to get to the rim. At least not in the Dwop Reith, Yang Han Sen minutes. You can see the ownership on the FanDuel side. It's 40 to Barnes, 35 to Ingram, 30 to Quickly. The next highest guy in the game is Denny at 12. So this is a full, like, it's probably just Toronto situation today.
Yeah. Barnes,
I really like this slate, even though it's gross. Yeah, he really is, which is, I never get that dude right. It's probably because I've been talking shit about him for 5 years.
I like him. He's like selfless as a star player, relatively. Like he's letting these guys get their shots up, doing a little bit of everything this year. I don't know. He's always been impressive to me, even though he looks like a goof out there, but like shoots well enough. He's impressive. He's not like a guy you could put the entire team on his back, but I like him in this kind of role now.
I just hate the Raptors.
They're good. They're not good. They're not good in the sense they're going to win playoff basketball games like in a meaningful way, but they're better than I think people thought they'd be.
They've won more games than I thought they would. That's for sure.
They're not Chicago. Like I know you hate Chicago and think they're like the fakest, the fake.
Look, everybody should hate Chicago. They're the next level. Them and the Kings are next level stupid on a realm that I don't really understand ever. Do you want to talk about a game that I actually love today?
Next game.
I love this Knicks Boston game. 1.5 line. You know, 2 of these games should be blowouts or whatever, but like Knicks Boston, whether this line is 1 or 10, like they get up for this slightly more. Not that that matters to me, but like you care more in this one. And it should be competitive. I think this is a very clear opportunity to see like real minutes out of Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, Derek White, Karl Anthony Towns. There's no ownership here. 25% to Jaylen Brown, 15 to Brunson and Kada, Derek White, Josh Hart, Peyton Pritchard, all in the 10s. Karl Anthony Towns at 8. I find this game to just be like wildly underowned. It's my favorite game of the night.
I'm with you conceptually on parts of it. Like I didn't get, and it's weird to me this year, I've been getting a little bit less Towns lately. And last year I was just getting him in every spot possible, but I'm low on him. I am up on Brunson, up on Hart, especially, shooting guard, to think not the best position today. Small forward, always kind of tough on DraftKings lately. Being able to get Hart at both of those, I think looks pretty good with him getting a kind of locked in starter run that he's been yearning for after playing so poorly off the bench to start the year. The New York side, I think is compelling. I mean, Boston side, we get you in a minute too, but I like them a lot. I think I'm with you. It's not the highest total, so it does feel kind of gross, and it is, a pace down spot for the Knicks. Neither team playing above 100 pace, but both defenses not great. Definitely a little bit under league average, and like you mentioned, competitive spot. Not a bad total here. I can get with it. I think.
Like I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like I'm going to pull up Boston for right now. Derek White missed their last game. He played 39 the game before that. We've got some 39s here, some 36s, some 35s. Jaylen Brown, 38, 39, 37, 39. That's all in like his last 6 or 7 games. Pritchard's always in the mid to high 30s. If these guys are going to play 36, 35, and 37 or something in a competitive matchup, on a day like this with 5 games and minimal ownership, I just want this entire piece, whether it's Kada, whether it's Brown, whether it's White, whether it's Pritchard. This is probably it, if we're being honest. But on the Knicks side, it's the same deal for me. Like, if Towns is going to be playing more at the 5, he's just better from a DFS perspective, or at least he should be. And we could roster him at power forward, so it has no effect whatsoever on the value centers that we're digging up here. I just want to target this more because if this game is as close as it can be and these guys get the minutes, I'll be happy to be over the field on most of this game.
The Boston side, I'm getting a lot of for sure. I mean, I think these guys all look a little bit underpriced to me. I'm getting Jaylen Brown at 40%, Fields at 25, Derek White at 20, Fields at 13, Peyton Pritchard at about 22, Fields at 10. Kada, I'm getting like 40% of, which I think I need to knock down. Feels like a lot of Kada, but he's been playing well. Do you think the minutes are there for him? He's been in and out of the lineup so much that he's like playing 27, 28 when he's in. But I'm a little worried with like how many games he's missed lately that might not be fully stable.
Yeah, I mean, missed the last one, played 29 in a sandwich between getting hurt and leaving early, missing a game, and then comes back and gets the 29. I mean, I think like as long as you expect him to be healthy, I think he's playing like starter, closer, run, something in that 28 range. Now, how healthy he is certainly up for debate. But I don't think that there's anything on the Celtics that's going to stop him from being out there if he is healthy enough to be out there.
Yeah, he's producing really well compared to how he's done historically. Like, again, I would have viewed him and Adem Bona as like very similar players. This year, Kada with about a 20% rebound rate, 1.1 fancy points per minute. He's rounding into form a little bit better. Definitely has always had the block upside, but that's been pretty high this year as well. So I think he's an impressive player. And I think if you're not doing with the double wizard center thing, I feel like he's one of the guys you pay up a little bit more and you might have enough upside at his projection to, maybe, break the slate relative to what Kada can do.
Did you watch the strategy show today by any chance?
I did not get to watch all of it, no.
I placed a bet today on this Celtics team to win the East. Thoughts?
Interesting. What spurred that on?
I just started looking at them today and it just kind of hit me. Like, I don't think that anybody in the East looks good. I'm certainly not looking at the East thinking like that team is a problem. That team is like clearly going to be the winner. I don't really trust Cleveland. I don't really trust the Knicks. I'm not a huge believer in Detroit yet. I think if they make a move at the deadline, I think they can be an actual problem. I think they have too many guys right now and need to consolidate. If they do that is an issue. But I'm looking at Boston now and it's like, okay, well, what if Jason Tatum comes back? I'm not saying he has to beat Jason Tatum, but what if Jason Tatum comes back? And what if at the deadline, these guys are punching above their weight and they're like, okay, well, why don't we just make a win now move? I don't think they need to go crazy and trying to find a center. Could they go out and get like your Royce O'Neal types? Just guys that'll shoot some threes, defend on the perimeter. They don't have to go out and get a star. They already have Derek White. They already have Jaylen Brown. In this theory, they would already have Jason Tatum coming back. You ship out Simons and something for insert whatever here. I don't think that team that can't beat Cleveland and the Knicks and Toronto and Atlanta. Like, I don't know, but I'm not confident in anybody else. And if anybody wants to make a move, they can certainly do it.
I think what's interesting about them, and I hadn't noticed it because Boston, I feel like, hasn't been on a main slate in a little bit. But Jaylen Brown's up to about 37%, a little bit less than that usage. Like they've kind of reconsolidated around him in a way where they're treating him and Derek White and Peyton Pritchard to varying extents, but relatively, like those guys would all get their shots up. But now White and Pritchard under 23% usage, both of them. Jaylen Brown getting more shots up. He's been the most efficient shooter overall. It's starting to peter out a little bit, but like, I think it looks better for them now. Part of the reason why I like Jaylen Brown a lot is I feel like he's kind of getting this maxi level of opportunity, a little bit less minutes wise, but close enough in terms of the fancy points per minute and usage and all that stuff. I like how it's looking overall for them. I think it's interesting. The defense is not as good as it used to be, I think, is like the problem, but that's also because these guys have to spend a lot more effort on offense without Tatum.
Yeah, everybody's guarding up a spot, which isn't helpful. I just look at it like, can Jason Tatum come back and be DeAndre Hunter? Because that's the guy that's going to start for Cleveland. And I'm just like, yeah, probably. Like, if he comes back, I have to assume that he's better than DeAndre Hunter. And I start thinking, like, holy shit, they could put together a 7 or 8 man rotation if they make a trade that could be a problem. I don't know. I'm team Boston right now. We'll see. It's a wild card. It's not, it's like their odds to win the East are worse than the Sixers. To me, that's insane.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the Vegas Souls are starting to agree with that too. Like, I mean, weren't the Knicks a 1.5 point favorite earlier today, and now it's flipped to Boston by 1.5?
legitimately, I have no memory of that. You could be right. I don't know.
I feel like I remember saying that on stream earlier today. It's like, oh, Knicks favored by 1.5 should be competitive, and I think it's flipped. Somebody in the chat will know. But yeah, look, I think Boston's getting more love from betting markets too. I agree. Like, I think they just the 3-point volatility alone that they have, like they're not hitting their shots right now. But I've been waiting for the shots to fall for Derek White in particular. If those guys start to hit some shots, Simon Sue on top of that, they could stay in any game.
Take a peek at Knicks and oh my God, who the hell are Boston? I almost clicked Philly. On the FanDuel side, nothing crazy, sort of like the DK end. 20 to 25% ownership for Brunson, Brown, White, Pritchard. Towns gets to 15. Everybody else is basically 10 or below. It's just kind of the same deal. Like I'm, at least on the FanDuel end, that's +4 leverage, +5, +8, +5, +6. At the very least on the FanDuel side, we're looking good here. Tatum is not coming back. He shouldn't. I mean, I'm going to go with the doctors. I don't know anything, but it seems like he's not only definitely coming back, but he's not going to come back unless they tell him he can. So,
yeah. Lillard not coming back
I'm gonna
this year. I think that's
no,
guaranteed.
He's not going to play. No, that one's not happening. But yeah, like, I don't know. I want to see it. That's for sure. Like, imagine they get the 6th seed and they play what? Who the hell is? Who could be the 3 at that point? Imagine they get the 6th seed and they play like, I don't know, Toronto or the Knicks. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they make a trade and Tatum's back. Like, what's the series line on that? It's probably pretty damn close, if not a Celtics lead.
Yeah,
I don't know. I love it. Team Boston. Team Boston. I forget. Friend of the program, I think it was Vic, sends me a screenshot. He's like, of the bet, and I was just like, "You took them to win the title. I don't like that at all. They're going to get destroyed if this happens by Oklahoma City. Take them to win the East."
Yeah, then the Thunder will get the Clippers' top 3 pick, and it'll be even better.
God, I hope so. Thunder or the Field right now?
I would go Thunder. I think they need an injury, like they need an SGA injury, not even a Jalen Williams injury. I think they could still do it I mean, closer. But yeah, I think I would take the Thunder. I mean, I think we felt the same way about this last year. Like, they to me seem like the most actual dynasty potentially here, just because of the modern NBA and how it works and the roster flexibility they have, and like how they can manage that and how they have. And then SGA is the most efficient player who's probably ever existed if he keeps this up.
Yeah, they're just stupid good at everything. I love to see it. It's fun. You know what else I love to see? It's Tails app. It's an incredible app. And if you're looking for bets, parlays, pick'em cards, DFS coverage, I posted my contenders there today. I also posted my thoughts on King of the Court for tonight. Go Karl Anthony Towns. You can get all of this on the Tails app, and you can download it using the link in the description. Very simple. Doesn't cost you anything. Totally free. Follow guys like me, like Spags, Eric. Follow Greg, follow Laffy, follow Ben, and more. Friend of the program, DK DFS. You can get all of the free picks that get posted there. You don't ever have to spend a cent. If you find someone that you've been following, you've been winning, and they have their own package that you can subscribe to, you can do that as well. But you don't have to. It doesn't have to cost you anything. So download the app. It's very helpful. What we'd love for you to do is add a rating. If you could rate this and leave a review, it would be incredible. We have a goal right now of getting 1,000 ratings in the Apple App Store by the time we get to Christmas. It's going to be close, but if we're going to be able to do it, you guys are going to be able to help us out. So if you're interested in everything that I just mentioned, betting, pick'em, DFS, it's all here for you. Download the app. Next game, Minnesota, New Orleans. Just a turd of a basketball game. And we got the news just before we got started. Zion going to be out for 3 weeks. Of course. Now, there's no ownership here. Randall, 20. Edwards, 20. McDaniels, 15-ish. I mean, Minnesota's just Minnesota. They run the same rotation all the time. These guys play basically the same minutes all the time. It's just kind of normal. Do you like anything from Minnesota, or are they just a team where you're like, I don't care which guy shows up, it's fine?
Yeah, the most I have is I'm with the field on Jade McDaniels. I'm a little bit low on Randall, a little bit low on Edwards, more around like 10 to 15% as opposed to 20 for those guys. McDaniels always looks pretty good in my data because he is a decent usage guy and he's going to benefit just as much as those guys from a soft matchup against New Orleans, who is one of the worst defenses in basketball. But yeah, really not. I'm with you. It's not super exciting. I think the price tag's fair.
Yeah.
Gobert, I feel like this kind of spot, I just never get Gobert, but I do have him projected decently today. Still a bit lower than Stokastic, but around 31 fantasy points. I feel like he's one of those guys in this kind of matchup going against Derek Queen, who I love, but he could really, if things broke a certain way, he could really make it tough on Queen and abuse him and the amount of usage he gets. But, like he's not really coming up for me either, so I kind of have to force my way there. McDaniels, I support. If you want to get to Edwards and Randall, I wouldn't hate it. But yeah, they're who they are, but a little more upside because the team they're playing sucks.
Yeah, I got 20% of Randall, 20% Edwards. I'm just kind of like holding the hands with the field here, and I don't want to do anything different. It just, that's the only thing that makes sense. The tricky part comes with, do we play the Pelicans? Trey Murphy is in, 10% owned. Alvarado at 4,300 is 10% owned. No one else is like more than 5, whether you want to go to Fears or Queen. Yves Missi is questionable. He's either starting or probably not playing. And if he's out, then it really starts to get next level stupid for the Pelicans. Is there anything here for you for New Orleans that you're like interested in?
I'm getting 20% Trey Murphy right now, I think, because of the price point and needing to fill shooting guard. Because otherwise it would just be, I think, endless Josh Hart for me. And Murphy does gain a little bit in usage, about 2 percentage points in usage from Zion being off the court, theoretically a little bit of assist as well. And, the ceiling gets higher, but the matchup against Minnesota, definitely a better defense than most. So not crazy about getting there. Queen, I think, is the most interesting tournament play to me. With what center is, if you do have a lot of people paying down, I think Queen can put up a surprise, 40 spot in any game with the assist upside he's had. I mean, out of all the people playing for the Pelicans right now, he has the highest assist rate. He's also got the second highest rebound rate, only behind Yves Missi, and Missi is still Q tag too, right? So he might be out, and that would make Queen look even better. I think Queen's really the most compelling play here, but Murphy, to me, makes some amount of sense on how lineups come together.
Let's say Yves Missi is out. Okay. What is the starting lineup for the New Orleans Pelicans? I'll spot you Jeremiah Fears, Trey Murphy, Sadiq Bey, and Derek Queen. Is it,
I think,
Jose Alvarado, Micah Peavy, Bryce McGowens, Looney, Trey Alexander, DeAndre Jordan, Hunter Dickinson, or Jordan Hawkins?
Well, Trey Alexander's out today, I think, right? So that can't be
He's
him.
available.
Oh, is he? Oh, I thought he was out. All right. Well, fuck that. Like, that throws everything for a loop then. I presumed it would be Micah Peavy because he's been the one who's filled in before in these kind of spots. I guess it could be McGowan's because he's been playing more minutes lately and has started. So he might, it actually should be McGowan's, right? Because he started last game and Peavy came off the bench. So I would think McGowan's, but a Peavy start wouldn't shock me or anything.
I think it's Peavy. If I had to guess, I think McGowan's was in because of Murphy. And I think now we get Peavy because the last time, or the time that Peavy started, was a Zion out game. So whether we get Missi in the starting lineup, which I think is interesting, or we get someone else, if Missi is out, are any of these guys even worth it then? Or is it just like maybe I get a little bit more Derek Queen? Because I can't imagine what I'm taking a shot on this bench. It doesn't feel like it should be Micah Peavy, but I guess that's, if he starts, he's probably like at least something. Ew.
He's something. I mean, he's 4K. Like he's not super duper cheap. He's small forward, power forward, which I guess is okay. I don't think I would get there. He's getting 21 minutes in the data set right now. I have him for a 15-point projection. Yeah, I still wouldn't want to be there personally, but I wouldn't begrudge anybody else playing him if he gets the start. He's like a shittier version of Jalen Tyson. I mean, Tyson just went for 50 yesterday, so a much shittier version of him. But he's just like one of those guys where, like, theoretically doesn't do anything, but he also doesn't really get a ton of hustle stats. He doesn't really hit shots. Like Micah Peavy is just like, if he's out there, he's just running wind sprints, basically.
It's a pretty bleak situation right now on the New Orleans side. I don't really have anything else to add. I'm pulling it up on the FanDuel end for everybody else. So let's check off Minnesota and New Orleans. 20% ownership to Julius Randle, 20% ownership to Ant, chunk of 15 for Reed, McDaniels, DiVincenzo, and Gobert. Derek Queen, Trey Murphy, right around 15 as well. Some positive leverage on Derek Queen. We'll keep an eye on that one. But it's kind of the same story on both sites. Like it's a Minnesota team where anybody can be your last guy in, and a New Orleans team where you probably don't feel great clicking on any one of the names. It's always fun.
Queen being power forward center on FanDuel is nice. Like I liked him better when he was power forward center on DraftKings, and he should be because he's playing alongside Missy now. But yeah, like I think he looks good on FanDuel. I think he looks decent on DraftKings too.
One more game to go before we transition over to Live Before Lock. You guys are going to get Greg and Eric taking you all the way up until 7. I do want to remind you guys, though, you can still get a free trial to Portfolio EV. Head to OddsShopper.com by clicking the link in the description. You can take a market-based approach to beating the books, and you get a 7-day free trial right out of the gate if you've never signed up before. You can approach this in 2 different ways. At least that's the way that I look at it. One, you can grind it out. If you've ever seen Greg Ehrenberg's Bankroll Challenge, you're looking to get down as many bets as you possibly can. Incremental small edges, add them all together, slowly grind the bankroll. It's a tried and true method, and our NBA product is exceptional. So my recommendation would be to look into that. Build out a pool with the sports books that you're using and the bets that are grading out well for them, and get every single alert straight to your phone so you can place that bet almost instantly. Or maybe you're a bit of a wild card and you're looking to jam some parlays. This is going to be a great way for you to do that and do it better. Build out a parlay card, get the positive EV odds so you know at the very least you're building something in and around neutral or better, and then hunt around for boosts depending on your sports book. If you can build something around a neutral to slightly positive PEV parlay and tuck a boost on top of it, long term, those are going to be solid parlays. You're not going to hit them every day. The odds are still the same, but the payout structure will be better and you won't bleed out as much. I think both of those things are excellent ways to use Portfolio EV, and it doesn't stop there. So if you want to try out the trial, click the link in the description. Greg Ehrenberg has entered the studio. You guys don't know that, but we do. He wanted to hear the Memphis at San Antonio discussion. Incredibly fun game to talk about. Highest owned guy. Is it 10% Jaren Jackson? Is it 10% Fox or Coward or Vassell? Or is it all of the other guys that are sub 10% owned right now? Q-tag Jock Landale. Q-tag other guys that won't play one way or the other. Is there anything here for you? Because I find this game to be pretty weird.
Yeah, I'm not getting a lot here on the Memphis side. I'm getting 3% Jaren Jackson, and we could always revisit that debate about what's going on with him. I guess he's now shooting under league average, so that's part of how you could explain him not playing super well fantasy-wise, but he continues to produce a 1.02 fantasy point per minute number on the year with decent usage, just doesn't really get much better with Ja Morant out, gets more usage, but that's about it. I can't get there. Edie, I think, looks okay to me. Today getting projected for 29.5 minutes. Seems like the minutes are a little bit healthier for him than when he first started out the season. And he's producing about 1.3 fantasy points per minute. So I'm willing to chase that a little bit today going against San Antonio's lower quality centers with no Wemby out there. But Edie's it for me. I'm getting 10% of him. I am getting close to the field on Vince Williams, but a little bit under. I feel like when he was priced super cheaply when Ja Morant was out initially, that was when I was getting Vince Williams a lot. Now the price tag is fair and his role does not seem quite as sturdy at this point. But Coward, I'm getting barely any of. It's an ugly spot to me. Edie, I don't mind, but the rest of these guys, a little bit hard to get to on the Memphis side.
I got to 25% of Jaren Jackson Jr., and I basically don't have anything else. And that's kind of how I feel about this game. I feel like I should be more interested in it. Like I should be treating it a little bit more the way that I think about the Knicks and the Boston game. Because like ultimately this is pretty close. You know, like with no Ja, I like trust Memphis to play hard, which is conversation for a different day, I guess. Just some of the pricing's tough. Like Edie being 7,200 already. That's healthy. Like, you really need him to go for it if you're eschewing some of that center value. Triple J just hasn't played like you would expect him to play yet, basically. It scares the hell out of me. Don't know what's going on with him. I hope that I could be there for a big one, but I don't know. Fox seems interesting, but at the same time, he just seems like properly priced. And then this whole sea of 5 and 6K dudes: Coward, Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Barnes, Champagne, Jalen Well. I mean, I don't know how to separate any of these guys. They're all the same dude. This is a scary game. I feel like I should have more of it. Edie, probably a guy that I'd like to get to more of. We'll see how that ends up. I think this is going to look a lot like Minnesota, but for the whole game, where like I'm going to have one dude and I don't know who it's going to be, but it could be any one of those top 10. That's not fun.
Yeah, and the Spurs too, like I feel like Fox just, strategically feels like a really nice pivot to Tyrese Maxey. But like he's had so many bad games lately, and he's not popping in my data as a result. But like he's had 3 of the last games under 40. Actually, I guess 4 out of the last 6 under 40. But then it's sandwiched around that is like 50, 64, 51. Like it's really weird outlier performances for him. And the shot attempts in some of the games are the same, and he'll put up 13 more fantasy points, seeming largely because of assist upside. I think for Fox, he's like a really volatile play that doesn't project super well. But he does gain usage, does gain assists from not having Castle and Wemby out there. So I don't know. Like I'm writing this game off a lot in terms of my exposures, where I have under the field by a little bit on Fox, under the field a little bit on Vassell. I'm up on Edie, but that's about it on the Memphis side. But I agree with you. Like I think there's something here, and Fox in particular, I just feel like nobody's projecting him well around the industry, and he does like every 3 games seemingly put up like a slate breaking score.
And I wouldn't be surprised at all if he did it today. I have 10% of Fox. That's all that I have of anything interesting here. Let's sum it up. Is there anybody that we haven't talked about that you want to? Anything that like slipped through the cracks? Anything you're looking at slightly differently from where we were earlier?
No, I think, I didn't rerun anything during the show, but I did pull in the projection update that we got. I feel a little bit naked in terms of being low on the Raptors right now. I'm hoping that kind of levels out a little bit. But I still think I'm mostly curious about how the field plays the Bagley Vucevic thing, and if there's any better value that opens up, or at least competitive value, because I really would like to not play both those guys, but the sim is willing to give it to you a lot. So it's a lot of ownership for 2 centers that share the same 48 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just going to end up having it unless we get the Portland news or something weird happens for the Pels. Although, realistically, if that news doesn't come before 7 o'clock, it doesn't matter. Like, if Klingon comes at 7:01 and, Pels starting lineup stuff comes at 7:31, it's not like you're like, do you want to wait out? I mean, I guess you're just going to be doing it by default with Bagley and Vucevic. Like, you're just going to have less than, I assume you're going to have less than the 100 and something percent. I mean, realistically, yeah. I assume you're going to have 100% combined at a minimum.
That's probably what I'm going to try to do. Yeah. And I'll have some Kada, I think, in my lineups that'll allow me to do that, because he is projecting well enough that I think he'll be a piece that I could swap around depending on what's going on there. Because I'd like to get to Derek Queen too, potentially, if we get Missy out for that New Orleans game. I'll take the shot in adverse conditions. I think Kada will probably be the big lever for me if we don't get that in time. And then just, also just not forcing in both guys. Because like if you do force in both guys, you might get it right, but you lose all the flexibility then at that point too.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued by that combo. I mean, ultimately, it all comes down to like, does another center go insane?
Yeah,
someone will. Someone will. All right, chat. We got a couple minutes yet before we turn this one over to the live before lock. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. There are about 1,500 of you in the door. I see no reason that 10% of you can't hit the thumbs up right now. That seems reasonable. 150 of you go boop, thumbs up. Shout out to the Stokastic. I think that's what you guys should do. If you guys got any questions, drop them into chat. We'll be able to hit them right now. I am looking at my exposures from the beginning of the show. the most exposed guys that I had were Marvin Bagley, Emmanuel Quickly, and Jaylen Brown. And I don't really think that's going to move around all that much. I think I'm going to be pretty heavy on those three guys. The one thing that I need to do over the next hour is get myself some more Karl Anthony Towns. I already bet him to be the king of the court today, and I would really like it. If I think he's going to be the king of the court, I probably need to get his ass in some DFS lineups as well.
What is the king of the court deal? Because somebody asked about that earlier, and I feel like there's all these king of things that I'm not in the loop on that everybody seems to be playing now.
There's $1 million pool of bonus bets on DraftKings. You place a qualified wager on one of the markets. It could be like points, rebounds, assists, PRA, whatever. And if that guy has the highest PRA of the day, you and anybody else that used that bonus bet chop the pool of bonus bets.
Okay, so Maxi probably the chalk today would be, I guess.
You would think, yeah. Yeah, like on a day with Jokic, everybody's going to have it type stuff. Today, I think there are a lot of weird spots that you can get to that are all very reasonable.
I wouldn't mind Jaylen Brown. I got him at 42 almost.
I think it's very reasonable. Right now, I have Jaylen Brown as the number 3 in King of the Court.
You got screens made up for it? That's nice.
Dude, I got everything, man. You know what's up.
You really are the most impressive AI coder that I know. I know there's people using it in their jobs, but you really built a nice product for yourself.
Towns is who I got. I think the interesting flyer is Brandon Ingram, if you really want to get weird. I don't think anybody's going to really have it all that much, and I'm guessing your bonus bets would look pretty damn tasty at that point. The problem in this scenario is that if I get a $5,000 bonus bet from DraftKings, they're probably going to let me bet $5. So that one will sting. But what are you going to do?
Oh, and people rolled
out. I
out.
tried to take a parlay from Nolan earlier today and put $5 on it, and they were like, "You can put $2.17 on it or something dumb." Thanks, guys. Super helpful.
It's a badge of honor to know that you've gotten in their heads so deeply they have to limit you.
Yeah. So I just need Towns to go crazy, and then I can make a stink about not being able to use my bonus bets. That's where I'm at. All right, let's hit one last question before we get out of here. Let me scroll down. Paul George, questionable. Donovan Clingan, Yves Missi, Quentin Grimes, Keyshawn George, Andre Drummond. I won't mention Butler. Jock Landale. Are you expecting any of those guys to be out?
I mean, the fact
playing
that
it that way, or in your mind at least.
Yeah, George Drummond and Grimes game time decisions, which I know you, as you pointed out many times, not a status change, but it does feel like it's not good when they drag it out to that point. I think you got a good shot that those three are out. Like Drummond, I thought was going to miss a little bit of time with how he left the last time for them, or he was banged up in game last time for them. So I think those guys might not go, and that's going to really matter for changing Philadelphia around. Clingan not going also would not surprise me, but that feels like the spot where I would get to Robert Williams and immediately regret whatever I got to.
I hope we get some decent news, but I hope it happens in the next hour. Typically, when it comes to news for slates like this, it usually all happens right now. At the moment that Greg and Eric are about to start their live before lock show, they usually get a news dump that ruins everything. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for it right now because NBA Live Before Lock is here. Greg Ehrenberg, Eric Lindquist, they are going to take you all the way to 7 p.m. on a day where I think it's going to matter to hear all of this news. So, Greg, Eric, hello. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's funny because we have at least to me, like I was building lineups just in The Sims before this started. And I complain all the time about how the news comes right in between the shows starting. But now I'm like, what's the point of me even building lineups until I get the 76ers news? Because I'm inevitably just going to have to rebuild everything anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel
it's great defeatist attitude to have, Greg.
Everything is pointless. What
I'm glad we have 48 alerts from Underdog that say Wednesday's news. That's what the last 2 hours have been. It's just been Wednesday news rolling in. That's the worst.
Well, we've still got some of today's
doing the
news
Wednesday dance.
Still some of today's
wow.
news that'll be coming as well. By the way, Josh and Spags got here. Spags, check your DMs too. I messaged you. It's I won't tell you what it's a picture of, but go respond to me.
Can't wait. Enjoy the show, guys.
So yeah, we've got lots of injury news that we're waiting on here. Some of it we're certainly going to get over the course of the show, Eric. Paul George is questionable. Quentin Grimes is questionable. Andre Drummond is questionable.
There you go. Kaishan George in. Asking you shall receive. We started to get news immediately upon rolling in.
All right. So we got George. We don't have the 76ers news yet. But as far as the other guys on the slate, we've also got, if you're playing the FanDuel slate, Jimmy Butler is questionable to play. I am playing on FanDuel today, Eric. I haven't exactly determined how it is I'm going to handle the Jimmy Butler situation, but he's questionable in a game that locks 3 hours after every other Tuesday game. You've also got Donovan Clingan. He's questionable. Yves Missi is questionable. Jock Landau is questionable. Trace Jackson Davis is questionable. And that's who's important as far as the players for today. I am curious because we're going to be getting this news at some point over the course of the next hour. Do you have any strong leans on the Philadelphia 76ers who have 3 key players listed as questionable right now? Not to mention that Joel Embiid is already out in addition to all these guys who are questionable. So do you have any real leans on the Philly guys?
So, night before, we had the Drummond and Paul George pieces. And so last night you go into dunks and threes and you start doing some of your own weighting as far as handicapping. I know you have your own spreadsheet and you kind of put together what it is that you're going to do from a spreads perspective on a day in, day out basis. And you kind of put weights attaching certain guys. And the step down to Adam Bona from Andre Drummond would be a pretty substantial one. Again, it's not answering necessarily the question, but I just kind of look at what Philadelphia is doing here in this spot with Embiid out for more recovery. Oubre's been out. He'll be back next week, it sounds like. Trendon Watford probably going to be out for another couple weeks. I'm guessing Paul George plays. I think he's the most likely of the 3 to play. Late downgrade for Quentin Grimes. I guess it was just kind of morning normal or injury report. Calf soreness seems like a weird one. I think this is probably something where it's Washington on the other side and they waited to see who was going to be in and out. They're 13.5 point favorites. And it's not like Philly is some world beating basketball team. So I'm going to say Paul George more than likely to play. I put him at 50% last night. I could probably ramp that up a little bit. I think Andre Drummond probably around 40. I'd say Quentin Grimes the least likely of the 3 to play just because it happened this morning. It's Washington on the other side. You have Justin Edwards. You have, Kyle Lowry if you want to dust him off for a day. Eric Gordon as well. If you really want to go that direction, you should be able to handle Washington on the tail end of a back-to-back no matter what.
By the way, I do have to mea culpa here. Every other Tuesday, FanDuel has had the late Tuesday game. So I have lineups reserved on FanDuel. I haven't built them out in the Sims yet because I've been waiting for the Philly news. I've just been assuming the Golden State game was on the slate. I didn't even realize, even though I'm playing on FanDuel, because I haven't run Sims out yet, that the late game isn't even on the FanDuel slate. So the Jimmy Butler one doesn't actually even matter at all. I was just looking at the list of injuries in
What's it like to be a piece of shit liar?
Yeah, I was
What's it like to be a liar?
I came out looking like an idiot there.
That's all right. Way to go. Way to be prepared every single day. Great stuff.
So, that is one piece of news that we are not going to have to wait on. But obviously, the 76ers stuff that we're going to be getting in short order, that will matter. And I don't even know how to evaluate any of the other 76ers players until we get that news. And it could potentially massively change the slate as well if we do end up finding, obviously, that all of those guys are out or a bunch of them are out. That could be creating some extra value. So here's one thing that, given the information we have right now, yes, Stephen Leibowitz pointing out right here, Jimmy Butler, revenge on Greg. He got me. Well, to be honest, it's not even revenge. He already owes me one because of the whole deal where, we're supposed to do the charity boxing match. He didn't show up. He owes a lot of money to sick kids. But Eric, regardless of what ends up happening on the value side of things, we're going to have some sort of favorite pay-up option that isn't actually going to be impacted by this news. Whoever you like right now as a top pay-up option, we already right now have Tyrese Maxey projected for the most fantasy points on the entire slate, even with some of these other 76ers guys in. So I'm curious, do you, outside of Maxey, have a favorite pay up option on the slate? Because that's something that isn't going to be impacted by any of this upcoming news.
Yeah, outside of Maxi, I think my next favorite pay up, if you were going to count, is it 8K above or are we going 9K above?
I'll frame it to you this way. Whoever you think it is that you think should score the most fantasy points tonight outside of Maxi.
Karl Anthony Towns, I really, really like. I guess Scotty Barnes, I think, is projected for the third most fantasy points on the entire slate, second most on the main slate when you take SGA out of the equation, even though you think he's playing on FanDuel today, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Scotty Barnes has power forward, small forward. That's always helpful. Like whenever you're looking at stuff like that on FanDuel, like that's going to definitely be one that you're going to like a lot. As far as DraftKings goes, I think it's going to still be Scotty Barnes, I'd say 8,900. It's a little bit further down the list there, but I like 8,900 Scotty Barnes. I like De'Aaron Fox at 9K, but like Maxi is 9,900. It's a joke of a tag. As you said, like removing him from the equation, it probably becomes a positionality question. If we get Drummond out of there, Adam Bona is going to be a conversation piece. I think the most interesting guy is Dominic Barlow, though, for sure. Out of the groupings, he could play a boatload of minutes for them there in this spot. Yeah, I'll say positionality is probably going to be the main thing that I'm going to pay attention to with the Sixers news. If you remove Grimes out of the equation, remove some of these other pieces. I don't want Wednesday news. Stop with the Wednesday news, please, for the love of God. But yeah, Scotty Barnes, power forward on DraftKings, 8,900, my favorite.
So for me, by the way, the Cat one also makes sense, especially when you consider his ownership only being 8% for today. For me, though, I like Anthony Edwards a little bit here against the New Orleans Pelicans. The big caveat here is, will this game stay competitive? Because now you've got Zion confirmed out. By the way, this is how expected it was that Zion was going to not play today. When Zion was questionable to when he got ruled out, the line has actually since moved in favor of the Pelicans because it was just a foregone conclusion that Zion wasn't going to end up playing today. So when
But Trey Murphy got ruled in for what it's worth, and Trey Murphy is a winning basketball player. He's the only one they have.
Earlier in the day, the line was minus 12.5, but juiced towards Minnesota. And then the last that I looked, the line was 12.5, but just minus 110 on both sides. So the line was kind of set all day under the assumption Zion wasn't going to play. And then the line really didn't change at all because of his absence. It just moved because of, some of the betting in one direction or the other. But anyway, if this game is able to stay competitive, and also we're going to have some of those, the 76ers are favored by 13.5 over the Wizards. So that game, there's also going to be some concerns about how competitive it stays. But in a scenario where this game between the Timberwolves and the Pelicans stays close, and the game's also in New Orleans, that should help a little bit with it staying competitive. I think there's a massive ceiling on Edwards. We're getting him at a modest 20% ownership. There's a lot of guys that are right around this 20% own mark as pay-up options, though. Jalen Brunson, Scotty Barnes, Jaylen Brown, Edwards, Denny Avdia. They're all about comparably owned. The only one who's in their own ownership range is Maxi right now, who's in 63% of the field's lineups. I think there's a really big ceiling for Ant. Just the caveat being is it kind of needs the game to stay close.
Agreed. And I tweeted that out because I had so many people, like 4 or 5 people hit me up about what King of the Court was kind of the game plan for them. And so I tweeted something out where I thought Ant was the most interesting of them for exactly what you said. Now, from a DFS perspective, he's pulling 21% ownership. I'm right around the field on him there. But when you're talking about like the bonus bets, trying to capture upside there, I do think people, when you just think about how many public people are not in our bubble and are just simply looking at the options and they see Tyrese Maxey, massive chalk against Washington, no Joel Embiid, PRA is the highest on the entire slate. Pretty easy click. Denny Avdia completely smashes on a day in, day out basis when, you've got Shaedon Sharpe coming off the bench still, more than likely. Denny Avdia against Toronto, up a spot. Like he looks really, really good. But Ant kind of becomes the forgotten guy. Right now in DFS, Denny Avdia is lower owned between the two. And it's just a question of positionality for me on what I need based on what value appears. And I think Dominic Barlow could be a major conversation piece. I think we could talk about Justin Edwards as a major conversation piece. Jared McCain probably on the outside just because VJ Edge comes back and there's just not enough minutes amongst the guard spots. But yeah, those forward center spots, Adam Bona, God, I don't even want to have that conversation. I really, really hate that guy. But yeah, we're going to get something more than likely to break our way on the Philly side that shows up and moves it up. And I don't know what that is yet because we have 3 different positions being represented.
And we do have a question about a Philly guy here from our friend Morgan Wiper. Morgan, who has won not 1, but 2 Millie Makers this year, and in different sports, 1 in baseball, 1 in football. Morgan is a Stokastic sub. If you guys want to be a Stokastic sub, link to sign up is down below in the YouTube description box. You could also take advantage of our link join offer. I know there's a good chance a lot of you took advantage of our Black Friday deal last week, and you're currently on a 50% off package. If you've been enjoying your experience, one thing that might be a good thing for you to pursue is when your weekly sub ends from the gravy sale, take advantage of one of the link join offers and get yourself a free month on top of the 50% off week you just got. So Morgan, anyway, multiple Millie Maker winners this year. And I think one was on FanDuel and was on DraftKings.
Yeah. And not only that, but I think just from tailing him, because I do tail him on tails whenever I see his posts, and hockey's been his thing. I think I had like a 40 or 50 to 1 on $10 or something. He made me like $400. I haven't said that on a stream yet publicly, mainly because he normally likes to be like, Eric likes to suck dick or whatever he likes to say in the comment section and kind of mix it in from time to time. Also, love is love, bro. But also, Morgan, thank you for that, because I've never publicly given you credit for such things. And I don't know why, because I think it was just something I didn't pay attention to that night. And I opened up Novig the next morning. I was like, oh, I have $400 in here. And hockey, it looks like is really kind of his calling from a betting perspective. So I'll give him his love because he likes my haircut.
And then look at this. Look at this. He also says in here, nice haircut, Eric. You look sharp. So he's paying you a compliment even before you paid him one. The second part of this question is going to be difficult to answer for me because he says, is Barlow okay? If the slate started right now, here's our projection on Dominic Barlow. We've got Barlow in for 22 fantasy points and change at $4,800. If the slate started right now, I'm not that thrilled about playing Dominic Barlow, but depending how the injury news breaks, he could be a core play 10 minutes from now.
Yeah, like legitimately core play. Like one of the highest owned on the entire slate kind of play. He's not the best fantasy producer on planet Earth, but Jabari Walker's too small. You could do like the little thing for him there. Adam Bona sucks. I don't know if anybody's watched him play. I don't think Johnny Broom gets like a start, even though we saw him play quite a bit against Orlando in that spot. He's really bad too. I mean, he was good at Auburn once upon a time, but boy, is he not an NBA caliber talent. I really think Dominic Barlow ends up being the most interesting in the front court if you get Andre Drummond out.
Yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening there, but Morgan, it's kind of TBD for me here on outside of Maxey, right? Because we know we're playing, even if guys are in, we know we're playing Maxey today. As far as other Philly guys, just kind of feel like I need more information. Is there anybody else you are confident outside of Maxey you're playing a good amount of from the 76ers today?
A good amount of? No. I will mix in a little bit of McCain just because Edgecombe seems like he's going to be on some kind of a minutes limit still. I had alluded to that. He won't be a core play by any means. He's more of a luxury item and not a lot. Like Paul George out, I don't think brings him into a starting lineup. I don't think it changes his role a ton outside of the fact that he could just play more than Edgecombe because Edgecombe's still limited. But man, it probably becomes just another value piece with the Paul George one. Like Justin Edwards probably becomes the next most interesting guy to potentially move up the board, who nobody is even touching right now. He's a 0.8 fantasy point per minute guy, 1% owned here at the moment. But if you get Paul George out, they have proven they don't want to start Quentin Grimes basically no matter what. Going back to last year, they were Nick Nurse was very against starting Quentin Grimes, even when he was going nuclear. And now he's been going nuclear off the bench and just seems like that's his role. Like that's what they want from him. So I doubt he ends up being the starter in the event that Paul George is out and you get Quentin Grimes in by any means. But yeah, we're going to be shuffling deck chairs a lot in the last, 45 minutes of this slate.
Yeah. Still waiting on that news from the 76ers. We've got some questions in chat from people asking about things like core plays and things along those lines, which, once again, a lot of that is subject to change. But Coach DFS wants to know, top chalk plays to fade and top low-owned leverage plays for a single entry. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the current ownership projections that we have for DraftKings, which includes Marvin Bagley being 76% owned, Tyrese Maxey 64% owned. We've got Tristan Vukcevic. He's never failed this chalk, has he? Vukcevic, that's only worked when he's been a chalk option. He's 44% owned. We got Alex Sarr. He's going to be out for, 2 weeks, I think is the timeline for Alex Sarr. Then we've got Champagnie 35% owned. McCain is 30% owned. And then as of right now, I wouldn't consider anybody else to be a massive chalk or anything like that. But per coach's question, if you have to pick one of these chalk guys to fade, or maybe even just be underweight to the field to, who is it amongst these guys who are 30+% owned?
God, it's so hard. If I had to pay, if I had to fade one, I think it's going to end up being Justin Champagnie because of where we could potentially get some of the Philly news to fill in the gaps for it. But I mean, a lot of the lineups at the top, look at this. It looks like a game stack. Like McCain, Bagley, Maxey, Vucevic, Justin Champagnie. And then if you get Drummond out, more value. If you get Paul George out, more value. Like, this first game is just absurd. And I think the positionality, and he's the worst fantasy producer of everybody that's jumping to the top of the board there too. I think those are the main reasons. I guess the other portion that you could say on the flip side, Jared McCain is shooting dependent. Not that Justin Champagnie isn't, but like Bagley, Maxey, Vooch are like, once again, talked about it yesterday. I thought you just kind of jammed Bagley as long as he was in the starting lineup. That's kind of what worked out. You still want to have some Vooch in your life. Like, they both found absolute goodness, but like Tristan Vucevic, oh God, 24 fantasy points. There's so many good centers coming up later that could potentially look insane. Like Evis Missy, if he plays, is kind of interesting to me. I have my nuke of the night just waiting in the wings. He was never going to change. He's at the center position. Like, I don't know what to do, Greg, as far as like two centers on the same team in the early game, but like, I'm inclined to think Vooch is probably a guy I'll be light on. But I think amongst the guys right now, Champagnie and McCain, I'm more likely to be underweight too.
It's pretty easily Champagnie for me. His season high in minutes is 23. That's the most minutes he's played the entire season. And he's an all right fantasy, but he's not a great fantasy producer either. So I know there's going to be a lot of guys out in this game, but what's the realistic ceiling of Justin Champagnie, who has not scored 30+ fantasy points all year, which it's pretty hard to do when you've played he's played one game the entire year, more than 20 minutes. So, we've got him in for 23 minutes right now. In 23 minutes, he comes out with a projection of just over 20 fantasy points. But I generally just think the ceiling's kind of capped on a guy who they seemingly don't like to play extended minutes. So if I have to pick one of these guys to be underweight to the field to right now, it's going to be Champagnie.
Yeah, and I pulled up Josh Gillam's comment here, pivot to Time Lord, mainly because pivot to Time Lord off Bagley, I don't think it's that appealing because of what Greg kind of said. Like, Robert Williams is a better fantasy producer. Can he get there? Absolutely. But his season high for minutes is 21. I doubt they want to go crazy with his minutes by any means. So, like, Donovan Clingan, I think it does more for me for my Jakob Poeltl interest than it does for me doing anything for, like, I want to play Robert Williams as a cheapie if he's going to be popular.
The follow-up question that we also got in here from Coach DFS wanted to know also, who is our favorite low-owned leverage play in single entry? So I have a feeling there's going to be one or two low-owned guys that I end up liking from the 76ers, depending how that injury news shakes out. As of this moment, a leverage play, I don't really know if there is anybody who I look at and be like, oh, that's crazy leverage. There's a world where if like Vucevic wasn't this popular, he would be leverage off of Bagley, but both him and Bagley are really popular. So he doesn't really serve, even though Bagley is currently projected for 33% more ownership than Tristan Vukcevic. I don't really think that makes Vucevic leverage when he's 43% owned. So I don't know at the moment that I have a specific leverage play to point out, Eric. Like, is there somebody who's lower owned from Washington that you think maybe the field is missing out on?
From Washington or Philly? Which one were you talking about?
Either side. Like, because for me, it's hard for me to really make a determination on a leverage play from Philly because I could say somebody who just ends up being massively chalky in, 15, 20 minutes. So then I start to look at the other piece of chalk on the slate, which are only Washington Wizards players. Like, there isn't leverage to be had on any other team because nobody else is all that popular. So with the information we currently have, if you're actually looking for a leverage play, I just kind of think by default, it would have to be a lower owned guy from the Wizards.
Yeah, lower owned guy. I guess leverage maybe off the position in CJ McCollum, where you have a very popular Maxey, and we're gonna have later games coming down the pipeline there. But like CJ McCollum plays without Alex Sarr. He's got the highest usage on the team behind him. He has been very offensively forward, more than happy to take shots, mainly because Washington has like a bunch of these role players. Bilal Coulibaly, role player. I would call Kaishan George role player. Like I'd call a lot of these guys flat out role players, guys who go out and create. Cam Whitmore, he's more offensively forward. Like I think that's one guy that we know is going to go out and chuck. I've probably played too much of him throughout this entire year. Duke just woke up. That's good to know. But I do think CJ McCollum is interesting purely because he's got positive leverage. You're probably playing him in addition to Maxey in a lot of lineups, but maybe you leave Maxey off, you use up the point guard spot there. Maybe some news breaks weirdly coming up later and something breaks your way. Not anything that I'm noticing right now. Like I can't imagine any of the Q tags we have waiting do anything for the backcourt, but Evis Missy would do something for the front court there and our interest in Derek Queen and things of that nature. But I'll say CJ McCollum just because he's lower owned and more than happy to chuck.
We got a question from Young Metro Boomin about our favorite FanDuel plays at each position. Kind of want to reserve that for whatever. We could just talk about it now. I was going to say that.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I mean, it's like we still have to talk about the slate too, in some respects as we go here. It's just some of the stuff.
Disturbing.
I'm trying to not answer questions where our answers are potentially going to massively change a few minutes from now. But I do think a lot of this in terms of top players at position, like a lot of the guys we like, we're probably still going to like in a little bit. So like point guard for me on FanDuel, that's already, he's massively popular, but to me, the answer is Maxey over on FanDuel. And the opportunity is that it becomes even more so geared towards Maxey as more guys rolled out. So for point guard, I'll say Maxey's my favorite point guard play.
Yeah, same.
All right, over at shooting guard on the FanDuel side of things. So this is where we start to get to some of the not uber chalky options. We've only got, one guy 30+% owned over on FanDuel at shooting guard. That's Emmanuel Quickly. So for myself, I don't want to say McCain here just because, whatever. It's Jared McCain. The ownership right now is 20% on him. If the slate started right now, I'd want to be overweight to that 20% mark. And once again, somebody who has potential to look really good if a couple more guys get rolled out.
Yeah, I absolutely love that shout out. I'll give a shout out to somebody else that I think if the slate were to start right now at his current ownership, I'd just jam Derek White. Derek White is 21%. What are we doing here? Derek White, 21%. Optimal, nearly 30% of the time. Derek White would be a jam on FanDuel right now.
Now moving over to the small forward position, we got a couple of chalk options. It's both from the Toronto Raptors. Scotty Barnes, 44% owned. We got Brandon Ingram at 37.5% ownership. So I do think there's a scenario here where Paul George at 6,200 could end up being a pretty interesting play because that's a fairly cheap price point for him. But I'll not mention him here just because there's a chance he ends up getting ruled out. So in turn, I'm going to go with Brandon Ingram as my favorite small forward option.
Yeah, him and Scotty Barnes, power forward, small forward, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, basically here, then once you get to the power forward spot, look, you guys will see almost all of the guys that are small forward are also power forward eligible. So we're talking about a lot of the same guys. But here's a guy that's having a very disappointing season that really should be playing better than he is. And when there's just only so many decent looking power forward options over on the FanDuel side of things, we've got John Moran out for at least one more game. I'm willing to take some shots on Jaren Jackson Jr. It's been a terrible start to the season for him, but I don't know about you, Eric. I still think that I can't believe he's going to be this bad for the entire year. A $7K price tag for Triple J over on FanDuel without John Moran. Any other season, he's like 50% owned in this spot.
Yeah, I like the shout out, but my favorite play at center is Nuka the Night. So
we're power forward though.
I know, but I'm just saying that I can't say Jaren Jackson Jr. when my nuke of the night plays on the same team.
Oh my God. Eric likes Zach Edey tonight.
Oh, I
All right,
am obsessed with Zach Edey tonight.
That's my grandma's name. Center. All right. So I guess your answer is going to be Zach Edey at center.
Yep.
So for FanDuel center, here's something that I think is pretty interesting. We're talking about leverage over on DraftKings and about how Vucevic doesn't actually serve as leverage off of Marvin Bagley on DraftKings because Bagley's already so popular. Vucevic is already so popular over on DraftKings. On FanDuel, Vucevic is 4% owned and Bagley is 37% owned. 4% owned Vucevic, that's actual leverage to me on FanDuel.
I don't mind that at all. It's a good spot. Like Marvin Bagley is way too cheap there. Rudy Gobert is interesting. No, it's still Zach Edey. I'm just jamming Zach Edey everywhere is what it is.
Yeah, so I'm willing to take, and I'm gonna play a good amount of Vucevic over on DraftKings. I'm playing FanDuel and DraftKings for tonight, but it's when you have this big of an ownership gap between the two of them on FanDuel, I think he makes sense at a 4% over there. By the way, for people, my grandma's name is Edie for short. That's what it is. Her name is not Zach, which would also be hilarious.
Yeah, but they're the same height, so it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, that would be if everybody in my family was super short, but I just had this gigantic Hulk of
7'4" grandma. Just have a 7'6" grandma with amazing touch and low post moves. Oh, hell yeah. Don't piss off Granny when you were a kid. That's for sure. She'll step on you.
We've got M. Grizzly wanting to know, are there any manual adjustments that we're making to position for late swap? Let's see what ends up happening here with the 76ers news. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think guys are going to get ruled out for Philly. And if that happens, I don't know how you forego the first game to try to, position your lineups to be situated for late swap. Like, obviously, I'm still going to be late swapping if guys get ruled out like Klingon and like Yves Missi after the first game start. But I don't want to be like trying to get off of the 76ers and Wizards game if we are going to see, like more guys ruled out from Philly. There's going to be too much value to avoid it.
Yeah, there's too much value to avoid it. So we're going to play it. But also you do want to kind of like make some educated guesses and like you want to make some paths for your lineup. But I guess my question is, if you get Yves Missi out, I assume Bryce McGowan starts, but is there even a remote chance in your mind that Kevon Looney could end up starting next to him, next to Queen?
Sure, they started Looney earlier in the season.
Yeah, the one time, and then he just
by the way, Klingon was just ruled in as we were talking about. So Klingon is in. Klingon is in.
Makes him kind of interesting. Kind of 6,200, still a pretty low tag. I guess Robert Williams is only playing more and more and more as we go. So like if it's 28-20, that's really not appealing, but he's 6,200 against Toronto and Jakob Poeltl, true center on the other side. I don't know. There's too many other plays that I like so much. And we have like 130% of ownership, or 110% of ownership going towards Washington Wizards centers. What a time to be alive.
All right. I have to search Twitter. Have we seen any kind of warm-up situation here on Paul George or anybody to where we have an idea of if these guys can get out?
Somebody said up earlier that what's his face was out, that Grimes was out, and we probably need to block that human being from
no. That's he's listed inactive in the game notes at the stadium. So
interesting.
It's sometimes those end up not being accurate, but as of right now, I think it's pretty fair to say the most likely scenario is that Grimes is going to be out. He's listed inactive. It's in the game notes. Sometimes those end up getting fucked up. So like not anything official, but my best guess would be Grimes doesn't play.
I would probably bet something with McCain. I know it came up a little bit to adjust for the Grimes Q tag when that dropped this morning, but like have books reacted to that? Because sometimes you can just put a regular bet in right now. It's not being very reactionary, and I'm pulling it up here now, just kind of taking a look at the little more data graph and seeing if there's anything there.
So, but there's also, all this other news on the field. Like we're still waiting on an official update on Quentin Grimes, and then we've still got Andre Drummond questionable, Paul George questionable. So I'm looking for. Oh, there we go. We're starting to get the news now. Paul George is in. Okay.
FanDuel spectacular.
What else? Drummond is in. Okay. Now let's see if we get the official Grimes out now. Let's see.
Yep. Boom,
Grimes
boom,
out.
boom.
Okay, so there we go. Now we've got it officially. So like we were just saying, we thought there was a pretty good chance that Grimes is going to be out because he was listed out in the game notes there. But now we know Grimes, he is out. We got Drummond in. We've also got Paul George in. So here's all the news that we're waiting on for the rest of the slate now. Misi, Jock Landale, though he doesn't really matter all that much. That's it as of right now, Eric. I mean,
we've got the Washington starting lineup, and I don't like who's in it. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Champagny starting.
Yeah, we got the Wizards starting lineup. Koulibaly, McCollum, Champagny. We've got Keyshawn George, and then Marvin Bagley. Now, it is worth noting as well when it comes to Champagny, he has made other starts this year, Eric. He didn't play very much in those starts, though.
That's what I'm getting at. I hope he gets ownership. I hope he gets a lot. I just don't like the fact that he's starting where potentially this could be a spot where if it were to flip, it's probably not flipping for him off the bench. And that's kind of what we were hoping. But yeah, is what it is. Normal starting lineup for Philly as well.
I mean, normal-ish.
Well, but what we expected it to be today is what we're getting at.
Yeah. So 3 starts this year for Champagny. He played 12 minutes, 19 minutes, and 17 minutes in those starts. He is definitely going to project a little bit better now that he's starting as opposed to if he was coming off the bench. But I don't want to all of a sudden I feel better about Champagny as a starter than coming off the bench. So he's not somebody that could play in like 0% of lineups. So I don't want to be jamming him either.
Surely don't. I'm playing 45 lineups today. He's going to make his way into a couple, but just not a guy that I like having show up. And I'm just very curious to see if his ownership is impacted right now. As of this very second, 35% ownership, 3,500 power forward only. Let's say that gets up to 42, 45. Does it change his optimal percentage all that much if we're projecting the same amount of minutes?
Wouldn't think so.
I don't think so. That's my point, is that we could end up getting artificial ownership coming in here just because he's got the green check mark on DraftKings showing up next to his name in the next 20 minutes.
Let's see. Do we have Grimes?
And this is the other thing that's pretty annoying. And this is kind of what I was thinking about. Great point by Brandon. Like Kispert and Johnson being out. Like the Kispert was playing a boatload of minutes. And now there's a very clear absence there with no Middleton, in the back-to-back. No opportunity for, a ton of other guys, but it's kind of positionless when they can slide around Keyshawn George, Bilal Koulibaly. They can be 3s, 4s. Like, doesn't matter all that much there, but I don't know. Maybe it makes Cam Whitmore more interesting because he kind of gets a little bit forgotten. You're going to need something off the bench, and he's probably the most offensively inclined when you have CJ McCollum off the floor. So, like, I hate to beat the drum on Cam Whitmore as a tournament play again, but here we are, Greg.
We got updated projections now. I've got it here on screen. Here's what we're looking at for the 76ers. Tyrese Maxey's projecting for 80% ownership now. We've got Maxey 80% owned. McCain's 45% owned. Here was the issue before where I was like, look, McCain's 20% owned. That looks like a good-looking contrarian play for the 76ers. And now Grimes is out and he's 45% owned. So, not quite the case anymore, but we've got McCain 78% owned. McCain 45% owned, Maxey 78% owned, Paul George 24% owned, and there's a pretty big drop off. We've got Justin Edwards 17% owned, Barlow 7% owned, we got a Dembona 5% owned. Is there anything that you're liking of the less popular options from the 76ers? So outside of Maxey McCain, is anything really standing out to you now?
No, thank God we have, I've never said this in my entire life. Thank God Marvin Bagley's on the slate, so I don't have to think about playing Adam Bona. Because Adam Bona would be interesting-ish if you were to get a limited Andre Drummond. It was a knee contusion. It's just basically can he play through it? Can he not? How many minutes is he going to play? you could be somewhat limited potentially, and then you just go like a 26-22 kind of split. But like 3,700 is not appealing for a guy who's I would say amongst centers, not a very good fantasy producer, and then doesn't really have that massive upside unless he just walks into a ton of rebounds and stocks out of the middle of nowhere. But yeah, I feel as though the ownership's pretty appropriate. I am surprised to see Justin Edwards move up that much, but I suppose it's just Quentin Grimes. It's the lack of that small forward position. And we talked about positionality coming into this. 3,600 is pretty darn cheap for him there. And Edgecombe, I'm assuming, is still limited. McCain's the one pulling all of that ownership. I do like what we've got in terms of a projection and positive leverage coming in on Edwards. We still have news that can break with New Orleans that could potentially have a piece here or a piece there, but they're not going to look as good as Justin Edwards does against Washington.
And on the Washington side, because I'm assuming that is going to be updated for their starting lineup too. Let's see on the Washington side, we've got Champagny in for, I'll actually have to, I don't know whether it is Rich or Jason that's on the projections. I don't know if this latest update includes Champagny in the starting lineup, but we'll look at the projected starting lineup page to see what we have over there, if that's updated. That might be a pretty good indication. Let's see. Starting lineups page. Do we have Champagny in as a starter? Projected starters. We have the Wizards. We did not. We had Bub Carrington projected starting. All right. So I am going to assume that we right now have Champagny projected to still come off the bench. If that is incorrect, somebody message me if that's not the case. So I still think there's a chance we might bump Champagny's minutes by a couple minutes or so here.
Yeah, somebody made a point also in chat there. A lot of good people adding into chat today. That's always nice to see over in YouTube chat. But 3,800 on FanDuel, that is really hard to avoid for Justin Champagny. 3,500 on DK, where you're only playing 8 total dudes. Again, you kind of need that massive upside, but yeah, he does a lot for you on FanDuel. I really like Cam Whitmore again. I like Cam Whitmore more than I like Justin Champagny. I think there could be that chasm, just the one starting, one isn't. And I get Cam Whitmore has not really smashed for me yet this year in these spots where it hasn't come to fruition. But boy, is he going to get opportunity here, Greg. Boy, could he get a massive amount of opportunity and usage coming his way. Sarr and Middleton out. Opportunity at the position. Like, I'm going to play a lot of Cam Whitmore. It's really annoying.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. The opportunities, it's crazy. He goes from Houston to Washington. You just have to think he's talented. He's going to get an opportunity in Washington. Somehow he's basically landed in the same exact role, and he's just behind lesser players. He must be a massive pain in the ass or something like that, or some other sorts of issues we don't know. I'm not saying Cam Whitmore is the greatest thing in the world. I definitely think he has more upside and is better than Champagny, though. And there's something else we don't know about that's keeping him behind, like Champagny on the depth chart.
Yeah, he doesn't pass. Like, I don't think a lot of these dudes, like, everybody can go get you a bucket, but in the NBA, if you're not somebody who's like willingly out there, somewhat creating, do you know off the top of your head? Don't look, okay? Because I do this every single night. I sort the NBA stats and do this. I want you to guess how many assists per game Cam Whitmore averages.
It can't be that much lower than Justin Champagny.
Yes.
0.5.
Oh, that was a great guess. 0.7. He put 0.7 assists per game. Justin Champagny's at 0.8. So yeah, they're kind of in the same realm, but the difference is that Justin Champagny averages 3 points per game and he doesn't create for anybody. He also doesn't shoot the ball. So like, we're talking about Justin Champagny being chalk as a guy who needs to come in and really kind of find rebounds along with the point. Like, I would be shocked to find a box score where you play Justin Champagny. You said 23 minutes was his high point of the entire year. Let's say he plays 25 minutes. I'd still think on this specific slate where we have so many cheaper pieces to rotate through, 15 and 8, maybe an assist or a couple blocks or something like along with it. Like, his tournament winning upside is still really hard for me to make a case for. He's going to be overowned. he already is over-owned coming off the bench here in our projections here. I can't wait to see what his ownership changes to, because if you don't change his minutes, Greg, he's the same dude no matter what. So like, I don't really find Justin Champagnie to be all that interesting on today's. Not saying I'm going to have zero, because I do think he's cheap enough. There's enough volatility there where, yeah, he could walk into it, but I'm going to have way more Cam Whitmore.
We'll see. We'll see on everything. Updates here. Do we have a projection? We do have a projection update. So we'll see here now. Here's what we've got for the Washington guys. We have projections updated, not ownership quite yet. We have Champagnie in for, all right, yeah, this is pretty reasonable. We give him 2 extra minutes as a starter. So he's in for 25 minutes now. And 25 minutes for Justin Champagnie gets him up to 22 fantasy points. We have... Where is Whitmore is in for 21.2 fantasy points at 22 minutes. I think that's a pretty reasonable pivot to make. The projection we have is not very different on these two. We've got Champagnie for 1 more fantasy point than Whitmore. There's a scenario here where Whitmore just outplays him and gets more run. Somebody gets in foul trouble or something like that. Let's see what the ownership looks like in the next update, which will come in a couple minutes. Champagnie, I do think, will be a little bit more popular, maybe 35%, I'll guess, something along those lines.
So we've beaten Washington into a pulp. Can you do me a favor? Can we pull up New Orleans? I want to get your opinion on something, because
in 1 sec, because we've got some super chats about the Wizards also, so we might as well touch on them now.
Let's do it.
DFS dope strategies. I know this is off slate topic, but what are the best plays for the 7 p.m. slate for single entry? So I assume you're playing the single game slate. If I'm understanding this correctly.
I'm assuming 7 p.m. Pacific time, our made up time out here. It's good.
Yeah, or that.
But
I
think it starts at 8.
No. There's no 10 p.m. game, so that wouldn't make sense either. It has to be the 7 p.m. Eastern time game.
Okay.
There's no 10 p.m. game. Well, for one, if you're playing Maxey easily, there's so much value in this game, and he's the only real guy to pay up for. So it would be Maxey. Outside of that, I haven't built lineups for the showdown slate. So I'll be honest with you. I'm talking a little bit out of my ass here. I assume you also have not built lineups for the 7 p.m. single entry game, Eric.
No, but I will say there's massive overlay on it at the moment, because there always is. Sometimes when I'm on these shows, I'll sneak it in. I'm not doing it today because I've got a bunch of stuff to do, but I am looking at 35, 50 of 5,100 in the mini max. I'm looking at, that's the main thing. The mini max, a lot of times that'll overlay because people don't even realize that it's there and they're building main slate lineups. So all once in a while, max it out and just let the optimizer do its thing. Very impossible for me to get away from like nearly 100% Maxey in the captain spot today.
Yeah, Maxey for sure. The big men for Washington as well. Looking at Marvin Bagley and Tristan Vukcevic, those are also going to be core options. Paul George in the mid-range, I think that's a reasonable play for a 1-game slate. I think that's pretty decent to work off of. If you want to be contrarian relative to a 1-game slate, Eric had mentioned Cam Whitmore before. I think that makes some sense as well. One final thought here. Champagnie's ownership didn't go up as much as anticipated, and he's actually looking like one of the top leverage plays in the boom bust tool as a result now, Eric.
Well, we took him to 25 minutes, so we're projecting him for his high point of minutes of the entire year. I want to point that out. So I don't know what to do with it yet here. I'm going to kind of let the sim do its thing. And man, I don't want to play him. Man, I want to play Cam Whitmore. I'd be really upset with myself if people play 35, 40% Justin Champagnie and I get sub 20% right now Cam Whitmore. Oh, it's so brutal. It's such a gross spot. And they're projected within a fantasy point of each other. We know which one is going to be like the guy. If you told me somebody put up 35 between the two of them, don't you pick Cam Whitmore almost every single time?
Yep.
I do too.
I would.
So there you go. It's like, that's the way that I think about it, is like, you play to win the game. Duh.
I am in the midst of updating my lineups now. I don't think we're going to get any more news that comes in this final 15 minutes. So while I'm running some updates here, I know we got some super chats waiting here for us as well. I think it's time for Eric's favorite part of the day. This is what he lives his life for. This and nothing else. The nuke of the night. All right. Well, Eric has already indicated that he's going to be playing my grandma tonight for his nuke of the night, but maybe he's decided to reverse course since he said that earlier. Eric, who is your nuke of the night for today?
I could reverse course. Again, I want to talk about the Pelicans. I do want to do that in the next 15 minutes before we get to lock, because I think there's some places that we can go there. But I love dunks and threes. It's something that I think Josh as well, a couple years ago, you guys both brought me onto it kind of early on as I started like doing some more handicapping, getting more into the betting game, wanted to improve process. And, whether it's Raptor, EPM, things of that nature, like there's a great combination, great amount of data out there where you can get better at this. The line on Zach Edey's estimated plus minus is basically straight uphill. There are not many players in like their second year that make this kind of a leap. And he got a late jump to his season. So I don't think people are actually watching the games. And I'm not even going to necessarily pinpoint Sacramento, because Sacramento was child's play. They are trying to rotate in young centers in the absence of Domantas Sabonis. He had some cake puff matchups. It was ridiculous. But I actually want to pinpoint the Zubats matchup, the one before it. He only had 5 points. But the tenacity he had on the board, specifically, the way that he went about his business and allowed for other guys to kind of win and was a winning basketball player and crushed an estimated plus minus, and the way that he's going about in the post, obviously he eviscerated Sacramento. A lot of centers are going to eviscerate Sacramento, but we're going to see like 30-20 Moses Malone games from Zach Edey. He is a massive body in the paint who I think coming out of the draft, he was National Player of the Year. We all know who he is out of Purdue, but I don't think he got the love and respect he deserved for being fundamentally very, very sound. And I think he has made a jump. I truly think Zach Edey is somebody we're going to talk about as an $8,500 center within the next month or so. Now, John Morant's expected back. There are ways where the usage just goes completely by the wayside. He's only been around a 15% usage guy on the season as is, but if he stays healthy and we see this kind of offensive improvement, it's not even a great matchup with Luke Cornett on the other side, who is, there for specifically his defense, not exactly offensively forward in his time with Boston or here, but it's just a bet on the talent and what I am watching from the ascension of Zach Edey. I trust dunks and threes. I look at that EPM graph and it is just different than anything else that I see. I want to back him. I want to back him at 7,200. I want to back him all the way up to the 8K, 8,500, even alongside Jaren Jackson Jr., who, as you said, he's somebody who can take over that usage and really be offensively forward. We didn't see that against Sacramento, completely different spot here, but I love the idea of being overweight to guys that I want to be early to the party on Zach Edey nuke of the night.
There's a lot of front court value today, so I'm trying to figure out who I want to pay up for in the backcourt. The obvious answer is Tyrese Maxey. That's why he's currently projected for 80% ownership in the last ownership run that we did here. So in the interest of the nuke of the night, I'm trying to figure out who do I want to pay up for who is not Tyrese Maxey. And I just did a Sims update. I close to 30% of Jalen Brunson. Eric, I like that this is going to be a competitive game against the Boston Celtics. The spread is only 1 point. Should be back and forth. There's a little bit of heat here, which it's a narrative that kind of matters from a sense of in these kinds of games in the regular season, you could see guys play 1, 2, 3 extra minutes. That matters. For somebody like Jalen Brunson, you see we got projected for 1.24 fantasy points per minute. So if there is a scenario where he's going to play a couple of extra minutes, all of a sudden you're getting him 2.5, 3 more fantasy points. So if I am looking on this slate to figure out who am I going to pay up for, and a lot of it's going to be backcourt guys because I'm generally going to be saving salary in the front court, I'm liking Jalen Brunson. I'm about 2x the field on him in the last Sims run I did.
Don't mind that whatsoever. Him and Karl Anthony Towns, one of the two I've just been playing a boatload of on every single one of these slates too. You still have OG Anunoby. You still have an opportunity to just go completely apeshit if you're one of these two guys. I actually looked. I thought this was kind of a weird look, but Jalen Brunson and Peyton Pritchard double-doubles were both like I think the Peyton Pritchard one was like north of plus 2,500 when you combined it with something on Underdog. There's another one that I thought was pretty interesting. Derek White, I looked at as well, where it was just like way too long of a number. They're very unlikely there. But Jalen Brunson, there are some games, especially out there creating for the likes of Josh Hart, Karl Anthony Towns, Miles McBride, pretty decent shooter, 2.5 3-point line every single game. I'm with you. I think Jalen Brunson's a really good tournament play.
All right. I've got my DraftKings lineups uploaded, working on my FanDuel lineups now, Eric. So let's see what else we've got for.
I just want to know if you think Micah Peavy is remotely in play in any way, shape, or form. Has played like 30-ish minutes. You've already got news, but now Trey Murphy's back, and it kind of changes the equation as opposed to just Zion being out and, you know, whomever else. But like if Evis Missy is out in this spot, I just wanted to get your opinion. I don't think Avon Looney is going to find a place on this slate no matter what. I don't think he'd end up being a starter, even though we have seen him get the starting spot here in this spot. Bryce McGowan's, I think, is the chalk to start, but at 4,400, I don't have a ton of interest. I think Micah Peavy, not a great fantasy producer, but like, just wanted to get your thoughts on those guys. And Jordan Hawkins is in, which is annoying too.
So let's see. So PV is 4K on FanDuel. Okay, so he's 4K on FanDuel, and he's 4K on DraftKings. Man, the thing that's difficult about this
Misi
is
out, by the way. Misi's out a minute ago. I didn't see that news.
All right, so we just got that. I'm going to presume here that PV ends up starting. The one issue though is, like you said, he's not a great fantasy person. He's kind of priced up because of the injuries at 4K. He's in play, but I don't want him to be a core option or anything like that for us. Like, I presume he's going to still be projecting for like low 20s fantasy points at his point per minute rate. Like, unless we're going to just project him for 35 minutes. Like, if you put him around 30 minutes and now in the starting lineup, you're getting him for like what, 22, 23 fantasy points. He's playable for sure, but not like as any kind of core option or anything like that. It would be different if he was 3K. They kind of had a little bit of foresight in giving him a little bit of a bump in his salary.
Yeah, Derek Queen battled massive foul trouble last time out against the Lakers. I think that mitigated his box score. Derek Queen just got way more interesting. We saw him tool with Jokic earlier this year. That was wild. A couple of weeks ago, had a phenomenal game. I think a 30-point actual game against Joker. If he starts by himself at the 5, that is pretty darn fascinating, because I assume we're not getting a full blast Trey Murphy. You weren't going to get a full blast Zion no matter what, but like PV at 4K, I think it's just going to have to play a lot here now. Bryce McGowan's going to probably play a pretty decent amount as well, although I think his position gets eaten up a little bit more by Trey Murphy in this spot. That's kind of why, you know, Sadiq Bey has been playing awesome for them. He's 6,600. People are going to point to his rebound rate. People are going to point to that. I think he's definitely somebody that we can entertain, and probably in this next update is going to look better, but wanted to talk about PV, and now Derek Queen just looks way better to me.
Yeah, so the key here with Derek Queen is he'd been losing minutes lately, but it was directly going to Misi, right? Because we had this scenario where, and to be honest, Derek Queen's played like dog shit over the last couple of weeks, and Misi's played pretty well off the bench. That's been what's going on there to lead to the less playing time for Derek Queen. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And for all of his faults as a real life player as of late, he's been a great fantasy asset in terms of points per minute fantasy production when he's been on the court. So he's the biggest gainer to me in this entire scenario.
Agreed. And I bet his 3.5 assists. So I'm pretty happy with that at the moment. I'm just kind of piecing through what I want to do with New Orleans here. We're going to get some kind of an update, I would assume, before that ends up having to be official. But guys, I'm trying to boost a little bit right now in this run, just, you know, in the last 6 minutes in the event that that doesn't come through. Sadiq Bey, Derek Queen, a little bit of Micah Peavy. Can't really find anything else. And obviously, yeah, it's a difficult matchup against Gobert, but he just got done going toe-to-toe with Jokic. I watched a lot of that game, and it was very impressive. And he creates for guys, too. And getting a Trey Murphy out there, a sharpshooter to spread the floor a little bit, I think it's going to help out his assist rate here in a tough spot.
So let's try to answer as many of these questions as we can before we get to the end of the show. Super chats we'll get to, and then there's some questions waiting for us in Discord, but try to answer these a little bit quickly. Our guy Cedric here, Cedric Phillips, Brown and Bayer, Edwards and Queen. Well, now that we've got Misi out, the answer is going to be the Queen side for me.
Correct, same.
All right, we've got Sam Van Dam. Sam saying, my last center in for a DraftKings GPP, Klingon or Queen? Queen now.
He's a killer queen.
Any love for Pritchard on DraftKings and tournaments? No, not really for me.
Nope.
He's just appropriately priced on a slate that has a good amount of value.
Yep, hard pass.
All right, and now we've got Mamson, Samson, Calzone, core plays or must plays for DraftKings GPP. Well, I think Derek Queen is one of those guys in the mix now. Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Marvin Bagley, Tristan Vukcevic. Anybody else you would add to that mix? I think those are the list of core options for me right now.
Yeah, Justin Edwards is a contrarian option. I guess no, we're not talking cash, just options, period.
No,
end of story.
Core plays for GPP.
Oh, core plays. Yeah, core plays. Then, McCain, Maxey, Bagley. Those are kind of the main three that come to mind.
All right. So I just kind of jerry-rigged up some exposures for myself
what
here
I'm
to
trying
make
to do.
sure that I was getting a good amount of Derek Queen into lineups. So
And
I feel
Whitmore's going
pretty
to
good
ruin
about
my
what I
day.
have here. It'll be a placeholder, and then I'll do some late swaps after lock for some of this. But Derek Queen's my highest owned player now.
I expected that. For what it's worth, he's going to strip away the nuke of the night quite a bit for me. I just don't see any way around it.
Ace of Spade, DK tiers, best options. Yeah, I'll run through this real quick for the
Do
DK
it.
tiers. Let's see. DK tiers, we've got, all right, NBA tiers. Tier 1 for me, I'll just do this by myself here. Tier 1, that's Tyrese Maxey. Tier 2, that is going to be Jalen Brunson for me. Tier 3, that is going to be Brandon Ingram. Tier 4, that is going to be, Eric's guy, Zach Edey. Tier 4. Tier 5, that will be for me. Ooh, this is a tough one. Tier 5, I'll go CJ McCollum. And then finally, Tier 6, Derek Queen, because he's in Tier 6. We've got him as a great option now, considering the injury news. So Ace of Spade, there we have it. Next question we have, now getting into the Discord questions here. We've got Jansen wants to know, how do we feel about Bay? A lot of these New Orleans guys look a lot better now. Let's see if we have a projections update for...
I'm trying to boost them ownership wise and just get another batch of lineups here quick and see what I can get in the last 3 minutes. Because, I mean, it really matters to get it in now just because of how much some of these Washington guys are going to eat up your lineups otherwise.
Yeah, so we just got a projections update, and here's what we've got from the Pelicans guys. We have, for fantasy points, Derek Queen at $6,400 is in for actually like not as good as I was expecting. We have him for 27 minutes and 32 fantasy points. Let's see for FanDuel, though, where he is a little bit cheaper. What do we have Derek Queen for where he's got the MP got a little more. Okay, so over on FanDuel, the scoring is a little more favorable for him. We do him for 33.4 fantasy points. I'm surprised. I thought Derek Queen was going to end up projecting better for us in light of this. I'm still probably going to play a good amount of Derek Queen, but I am going to have to go back and redo some of my lineups post-lock because I initially had a projection for Derek Queen a few fantasy points higher than we have in for him.
Yeah, and I'm giving Micah PV a boost too for what it's worth. Small forward, power forward. It allows for me to get away from a chalkier Justin Champagnie, which has kind of been the goal throughout this. It's not going to do a ton away from Cam Whitmore, who I still like his value, power forward only, but I am going to prefer later value. We don't know what that starting lineup's going to look like yet. It could be Looney, it could be McGowan, who I think the most likely option is, and then Micah as well.
Hey, I'm Drew. Who are the DK cash game plays for today? Yeah, so the cash game plays, it's going to be Bagley. It's going to be Vukcevic. It's going to be Tyrese Maxey. Let's see, our latest ownership projections. Did anything else change really? Jared McCain is going to be another one. Let's see, did anything else come up? No, nothing else really massively. Those are the guys who I'd say are like must plays in cash games. M. Grizzly wants to know how much of Maxey I have. So I just finished my FanDuel lineups. I have 58% of Maxey on FanDuel. I've got my DraftKings lineups closed, so not exactly sure what I landed on DraftKings, but I do have 58% of them on FanDuel. Einstein, any interest in De'Aaron Fox? I do prefer Brunson in that same sort of role, but I'm going to be getting to a good amount of a lot of those or I shouldn't say a good amount, but I'll be overweight to like Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, getting overweight to De'Aaron Fox. I am going to be a little bit underweight to the field on Tyrese Maxey and then overweight to a handful of those other guys in turn. And here we've got Win. Can you play Edie on FanDuel? Yeah, you could play Edie's absolutely playable for today. That was Eric's nuke of the night. Edie's certainly
love
playable.
Edie. Yeah, I love Edie. I ended up playing a little bit of Justin Champagny, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of 45. So I ended up like around 33%. So I ended up in the third. I'm very curious to see what his ownership is going to be. I didn't want to play this much of him. It just kind of became a last second panic deal. But boy, Cam Whitmore, please go nuts.
All right, guys, that is going to do it for us today. If you've not done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, link to sign up for any of the packages we have here at Stokastic. That link is down below in the YouTube description box. You could also be taking advantage of our link join offer to get a free month of any single sport of your choosing. Then, of course, follow Eric and I over on Tails as well. Either download the Tails app or go to tails.bet. Get yourself some free bets from us as well over on Tails. Other than that, thank you all very much for watching. Like the video, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff if you haven't already. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Later.